Okay, everyone. It is Tuesday, March 26th. I would, at 7:25 p.m., we are a little late, but Committee of the Whole ran long. I wanted to call the Village Board meeting to order. Deputy Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Orth?
Here.
Trustee Whitaker?
Here.
Trustee Fowler?
Here.
Trustee Gallant?
Here.
Trustee Yedis?
Here.
Trustee Elfman?
Here.
President Mendrick?
Here. The next item of business is the village president's report, and I have to say there are so many things on the agenda that I'm going to keep it, again, really brief. One thing I wanted to make sure everyone noted is that we have moved our July board meeting to July 21st. So the third Tuesday of the month instead of the fourth. It's already posted on our website as such, but I just wanted to remind everyone of that. And also just to share that at 4 o'clock this afternoon, I was at the corner of Bosworth and Wagner with about 30 little kids and their parents and one of our police officers, and we were all trying out the new flashing beacon signal that was just put in this week. I'm sure that everyone was there to learn about the crosswalk first and maybe get ice cream second, but you know, the ice cream truck was there. So, but it was great to see so many moms and dads out saying, you know, my kids use this crossing all the time and I want to make sure that they know exactly how it works, because it is, you know, when you press the button, the voice says the sign is blinking, but you know, you do need to be aware that it takes a few minutes for the cars to also come to a stop. But it was cute to see them going back and forth across the intersection with the police officer and trying that out. So that was very exciting today, and thank you all of my fellow board members for getting that over the finish line. And Patrick, for you and the staff as well. And again, I called Commissioner Britton to tell him as well thanks for the county for all their help. So that is all I have on my report today. So the next item of business is public comment. And as you know, at all of our public meetings, we open the floor to those who wish to address the village board. We ask per our rules, you limit your comments to no longer than 3 minutes. And is there anyone present that would like to speak this evening? Please raise your hand and approach. Yes, Beverly, go ahead. And it's a reminder, just your name and address, please.
Beverly Smith, 772 Hap Road. Sorry I had to come back, but you did say you wouldn't be making a decision in September. I just wanted to confirm that because that's when we'll be doing candidate interviews. And it would be important as an election issue because you have new people on the board.
So let me be clear. I didn't say that we weren't making a decision in September.
Oh.
I told you that the filing will happen on June 13th, as we discussed, and then the agenda will move there statutorily. The board at any time can decide to slow that down if they want to, but the schedule right now is what you are aware of. And we have not taken up the matter any further. The next time we'll be discussing TIF, and that schedule will be at the June board meeting.
Okay,
Do I
well
have that
then,
right?
then
Okay.
it is a good thing that I came back up, and we would request that you not make a decision until we've interviewed the candidates. Another good reason to not make a decision by this board, because you'd be having new people coming in. Then I had one question for Corporation Counsel. The research I look at an eminent domain, once you're a TIF district, there's almost complete power of eminent domain in that district. Is that correct?
The power of eminent domain exists both in a TIF district and outside of a TIF district. The fact that you are in a TIF district and a community would use eminent domain, they still have to comply with the Eminent Domain Act to do that, which requires making an offer, good faith negotiations with the property owner. So I'm not sure where you were reading that, but no, it's not as simple as you're in a TIF district now, I can take your property.
It doesn't become any easier, because I know one reason the Hap Road people came to our caucus was when they received notices from the county about eminent domain.
Yeah, they still have to follow the Eminent Domain Act before
So there
taking
would be
property.
no difference as far as you can see.
Same statute.
All right, just confirming that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. This is our resident historian, Mary Rhodes, coming to the,
Mary Rhodes, 2157 North Gate Road. And I want to start by telling you I've become a fan of streaming meetings. You guys are, and I never thought I'd say that, but you guys are so collaborative and cohesive in the way you work together. I feel like it's a new era for our village board, and it shows, and I really appreciate what you're doing together. I wanted to just put in a few words for the centennial and start by telling you that 100 years ago, the landscape architect for Henry Ford and his mansion in Dearborn, Michigan, came to Northfield, and he developed a plan for our downtown, much like the Hap Road Committee is doing now. 100 years ago, it was considered a state-of-the-art plan for a downtown. 100-foot wide streets, a big village hall, landscaped walkways, a business area, cohesive architecture. That was because Northfield at that time was going to become a super suburb. We had some very high-powered real estate developers, and this was the frosting on the cake, this cohesive downtown. And of course, what happened was the Depression. These realtors got run out of town, and Northfield was left to depend on all it could depend on, which was liquor licenses and heavy industry. And we've really worked our way up from there. But the reason I'm bringing this story up is that it's amazing to me, the year of our centennial, 100 years later, we have the Hap Road Committee. And it isn't an outside consultant who's coming in, it's our citizens. And if there's one thing I've learned in the year I've invested in writing this history, it's in the end, it's the volunteers, it's our citizens who bring two things. They bring individual talents, and they bring their love for this town. And they come up with the most amazing solutions that other towns might be skeptical about, but it worked in Northfield and it worked beautifully. If you look at the story of our school district, our park district, our libraries, and now our downtown, it's always the citizens stepping forward, because we really never had any money or resources. So it took that cleverness, that creativity, that initiative, but that is so much the culture of Northfield, and it's exciting to see it reinvented 100 years later. I'm here today because I want to give you a little update on where we are with the history of the Centennial. The good news is we have a history. It's 20,000 words. It's the War and Peace of Northfield. It's 7 chapters, but it's a definitive story from the very beginning, and I think the best part is that we've captured the real culture of this town and what's so distinctive that we want to keep working hard to continue to preserve and promote. It hasn't cost you guys a thing. We are going to be printing a book, and it's all through the goodness of donors, and if you're out there, we really appreciate you. So that's the first thing, that we will sell at a nominal fee at the Centennial. The second thing is we have a website, and again, mostly it was through the Northfield Historical Society, which Libby Hellman and I started 15 years ago, and through fundraising, we had enough money. And Libby, I just want to thank you for putting that money into this website that now is, again, telling the story of our village, a way for people to speak up, and it will be attached to our website, to the village website, so that we will always have a history component there, which is so important. And then the third thing is an exhibit that we'll be having at Lustig Lodge that will hopefully move components here so that it will be an ongoing way to kind of experience Northfield. So just wanted you to know kind of, and I wanted to thank Tracy and Charlie and Melissa. Tracy is keeping our feet to the fire in terms of budget. You guys, she is doing the job. And us marketing people, we can kind of step outside the lines and get a little creative, but not on Tracy's watch. So she wants absolutely the best for this celebration and is working so hard. And the best thing about Tracy is that she picks up the phone and she gets people involved who normally don't get involved in village activities. And I'm so grateful to you for that, because it's really showing itself in the Centennial. Charlie Orth, I did not know him. We both grew up in Northfield, and you are one of the best things about this village. Your love for this town, how much you want this Centennial to just absolutely be everything we hope it can be. And one story about Charlie I have to tell. His daughter, about 4 years ago, saw the Northfield sign, you know, Northfield, 1926, and said, "Dad, what's going to happen when we turn 100?" And Charlie brought that to the village board, and that was really lucky because that has given us the time to kind of plan and organize. But only in the Orth household are they talking about that Centennial 4 years ahead. So that's Charlie. And Melissa wears so many hats between communication, HR, and when you see the banners, all the details of what we're doing. This is, luckily for her, it only happens once every 100 years, but she's been extraordinary. And one last word about Patrick. When I asked an esoteric question about the board minutes in 1931, you sat down with Steve Gutierrez, and you guys really helped me, but I so appreciate just your responsiveness and help every step of the way. So I really look forward to seeing you all August 22nd in the lodge, and you can bring your kids, your grandkids, and hopefully with the goodwill of donors, it'll be a great experience for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Anyone else? Jen, come on up.
Good evening. Thanks for your time. I know we've been here for a while. My name is Jen Hull. I reside at 245 Hap Road, and I just wanted to take just a few minutes just to talk about what I've been through the last couple of weeks. First and foremost, I want to let you know that the school districts in the village of Northfield are absolutely outstanding. I've had the opportunity to sit through a number of meetings over the last couple of weeks, and we are in really good hands with our Board of Educations. What is happening in Northfield is no longer simply a discussion of roads or redevelopment. For many residents, this is becoming a defining moment about the future identity of our community. This evening, Mary Rhodes has talked about the past. We're now looking at the future. Families choose Northfield because of the strong schools, the safe neighborhoods, the thriving small businesses, and the sense of community. Now, many residents are fearing that those qualities may gradually begin to change over time. Discussions of the proposed TIF district, the Hap Road project, are beginning to present as redevelopment and infrastructure initiatives. However, many residents are increasingly concerned about the broader long-term implications about how these accompanying redevelopment policies, including expanded redevelopment authority, potential land acquisition pressures, and the potential use of eminent domain mechanisms under Illinois law. Small business district owners and lease tenants over the past couple of weeks have also connected to the Hap Road corridor and have already voiced concerns regarding uncertainty and fear with future development could mean for their businesses and their livelihoods, especially their lease tenancies. The fear is real. There are still some undermining concerns about streamlining lines of communication based on past history over the last 5 years and a lot of change in leadership. I think a lot of those things are beginning to really make reconnections, and I thank everybody on this board and a number of the people that are sitting here and a number that are not for really starting to start those communications. I think it's very important for healing in this community, but I think it's also important to know that the fear is real for people. The chilling effect on stakeholders is real, and many residents also believe that the public was never truly been educated about things like the TIF district, which is part of the concerns for the Hap Road in the past history, is having open forum discussions on how it works and how these decisions may affect future character of the community well into the future. This issue does not stop at one road project or one redevelopment corridor. Tonight we're going to talk about some amazing developments that are happening in this community that are really making improvements. But these things do impact our schools. They impact our neighborhoods, our homeowners, our taxpayers, our businesses, and our future generations. Residents are not asking for stagnation. They're not asking for things to stop. They're asking for transparency, they're asking for education, they're asking for accountability, and I think everybody here has made amazing steps towards that. And they're asking for public participation before irrelevant decisions are made. Northfield is a really special place, and it's special because of its people, because of its neighborhoods, because of its schools, and because of its sense of community. Many residents fear about the greater public awareness, about engagement, the qualities that make Northfield special, could gradually be changed in ways that may never be undone. I respectfully request that every resident and stakeholder meaningfully listen to the Village of Northfield Plan and Zoning Commission meeting from May 20th, 2026. The entire meeting is important to listen to, but residents may especially want to begin around 1 hour and 1 minute mark, where discussions highlight some of the concerns involving external pressures reportedly being faced by small business owners in our community, as well as statements indicating that REVA development proposal would continue to move forward regardless of the proposed TIF district, right around 1 hour and 20 minutes into that discussion. I know tonight we've talked about eminent domain. I would highlight, I am not a lawyer, but highlighting, taking a look at past TIF districts, U.S. Supreme Court Kelo versus City of New London did discuss and their concerns with regards to TIF districts, eminent domain use for economic redevelopment other than public infrastructure. I ask people to please take a look at that. These are important discussions. You guys do important work, and I know you care about this community. It shows in everything that you do, every email that I've written, every response that I've received, and I'm grateful for that. These are important discussions, and as you continue to navigate the next chapters, please let's keep center focus on the residents in this community. Thank you for your time and for your consideration.
Jen, can you cite that Supreme Court case again, please?
Yes, it's U.S. Supreme Court Kelo, spelled K-E-L-O, versus the City of New London.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. We will move on with item number 4 on the agenda is the approval of bills and disbursements for April of 2026. May I have a motion to approve the bills and disbursements for April 1st through April 30th of 2026?
So moved.
Second.
Patrick, any items you want to call our attention to, please?
Nothing special this month, thank you.
All right. Are there any comments from the board on this issue? Anything from the public? All right, Deputy Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Orth?
Yes.
Trustee Whitaker?
Yes.
Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
Trustee Gallen?
Yes.
Trustee Edis?
Yes.
Trustee Elfman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, item number 5 is the omnibus vote on the consent agenda items. This is the section of our agenda where one vote can be called to approve a number of items. Are there any items that any board members would like to remove from the consent agenda for discussion? Nope. Okay. Hearing nothing further, Deputy Clerk, please read the consent agenda items into the record.
There are 7 items. The first is the approval of the regular and closed session meeting minutes from April 28, 2026. The second is the adoption of an ordinance declaring property surplus and authorizing the disposal thereof. The third is the approval of an adjustment to the annual compensation of the village manager. The fourth is the authorization to engage Sikich of Naperville, Illinois for auditing services for a period of 5 years. The fifth is the authorization to execute a professional service agreement with Ciorba Group of Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $192,829 for the Hap Harding water main design. The sixth is the authorization to execute a purchase agreement with Fire Services Incorporated of St. John, Indiana, for an E1 fire engine in the estimated amount of $1,315,195. The seventh is the authorization to execute an amended intergovernmental agreement with New Trier High School District pertaining to the school resource officer.
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Motion approved.
Charlie, we do the second then?
Second.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions from the board? All right, Deputy Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Orth?
Yes.
Trustee Whitaker?
Yes.
Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
Trustee Gallant?
Yes.
Trustee Yedis?
Yes.
Trustee Elfman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now we have the individual action items. The first one does not require a vote, but after Mary's update on the historical aspects of the centennial celebration, we wanted to give you a few more details about what's actually happening on August 22nd. So Trustee Orth, you want to start out, and I have the list in case we forget something, so.
Certainly. The Centennial Celebration Run of Show plan will be at Clarkson Park on August 22nd from roughly 2 o'clock to who knows how late. It says 10 o'clock, but the Northfield people like to celebrate since it's 100 years. Hopefully, it goes later than that. So in the kids' zone activities from 2 to 5, there'll be balloon artists, bouncy houses, face painting, airbrush tattoos, and a magic show. And then obviously the water feature, the playground, and all that area will be open to them. Justin Roberts and the Not-For-Ready Primetime Players will be performing at the Balin Band Shell from 3:30 to 4:30. There's also going to be bingo from 3 to 6 in the Bingo Grove, which we have a layout of this entire thing that you can go to the village's website and or the Park District website. There will also be prizes. The Village Centennial Remarks will be from about 4:30 to 4:45 at the band shell. We're looking at different mascots from various sports teams to be there. King Saturday, a local band, will be performing in the band shell from 5:30 to 7. Dick Holliday and the Bamboo Gang, a Northfield favorite and Northfield band, will be performing from about 8 to 10. That's right after the fireworks show or in between the fireworks show, which runs at about 8:45 or 9 o'clock, depending on when it gets dark on August 22nd. There's going to be a history display in the Lustig Lodge, which we'll have for that entire day. The food vendors will be Stormy's, Hofer's Meat, Taco Nano's, U Dog U, North Shore Pizza, all local places. There are also going to be a community pig roast at Hofer's Meat and a corn roast celebrating the centennial because pigs were big way back when, and people still like pigs and they like corn roasts. And if you look back when I was a kid growing up here, there was the nickname for Northfield was Cornfield because of all the cornfields. So that's where we're trying to go back to our history, and that's kind of the main focus of the day. There's plenty of events. Please, please, please go to our website and look at the history that's been put together by Mary and some of the historic things that we've put together. We meet every couple weeks, so we really are doing a lot to make this a very special day. Please all pray for good weather. And then also at the Committee of the Whole meeting in October, we'll having a birthday party at 5:30 here at the Village Hall, celebrating the centennial, and the actual birthday again is October 23rd. So please, if you know anyone that would like to sponsor or donate, we would love to have that. And the Northfield/centennial.org is our website. And the other update I will give on a couple of things that we did and are doing. And I'll wait for that, for the updates.
Okay.
Okay?
And you didn't mention, but I guess I will here, is that we have two event sponsors. Medline has agreed to be the primary sponsor of the event, so we're thrilled to have our corporate partners involved. And Bernardi Securities is sponsoring the fireworks. So we are excited about those two, looking forward to more sponsors from our business community as well as individual residents. So great news. We're really excited. We've sort of put pencils down on the creative part, and now we're into execution since it's getting so close. So we are looking forward to it getting here much sooner than we all imagined, I think. Trustee Whitaker.
I have a question for Mary Rhodes. I have a planter that Jim Clarkson painted that depicts the history of the village of Northfield that and I will bring it to you. Thank you.
And also, I'd like to thank the Northfield Park District and Melissa, Bill Byron especially, for all the collaboration and hard work and teaming up to make this an extraordinary event. You can look at, there's about 20 banners. If you look on the light pole stanchions, there's about 4 or 5 of them in Clarkson Park, and the rest are the downtown village, talking about our history and celebration. And you can also see the banner that we have right downtown where the banners are for different events. So again, thank you.
Yeah, the list is so long. We had District 29 seventh graders design bookmarks that are currently available in the Northfield Library, and we're in both libraries at Middle Fork and Sunset Ridge for the last several months too. So
My daughter got one of those. They're neat little bookmarks.
they're great. They're a nice little reminder too, because the schedule's on the backside. So, okay, the next item of business is approval of a resolution rejecting all bids for the Wagner Road sidewalk extension. May I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Patrick, give us some background on this, please.
Absolutely. As you may recall, one of the projects planned for last budget year and then carried over to this budget year as we're waiting for permits was the extension of the Wagner Road sidewalk on the west side, north of Willow, to approximately the church and the church's driveway. Unfortunately, when we put the project out to bids, the lowest bid was 58% more than the budget, 58% more than the engineer's estimate. Combine that with the fact that the school has a referendum passed and they're looking at redesigning the school, it's likely to change the entrance locations. So the recommendation from staff is to reject all bids, let the design proceed just for a little bit more with the school to find out where those entrances are, and then later this year, probably in the early fall, either re-engage the low bidder and ask them if their prices have changed and or put it back out for bid based on what we see from where the location is for the school and their changes.
Okay. Any comments from the board?
All right, it's kind of full circle here. This is now kind of Exhibit A about shepherding. So this is a little disappointing from the sidewalk committee standpoint. I understand what's going on. I understand what Patrick said, and I understand that the memo goes into the possibility of having the mid-block crossing, which I think is great, and I think the committee would love that. I don't want to speak for them, but I'm pretty sure that they would really like that. It doesn't, as the memo says, it only partially obviates the issue, right? Even with the school reconfiguration, there's going to be a desire to have the sidewalk on the west side for that small portion. So my concern with this approach is to make sure it's not a can-kicking exercise. And to that end, and I support rebidding it, is what happens if it comes back more expensive than it is now, right? Do we know if it's going to be cheaper than it is now, or is this the cheapest price we're ever going to get? So those are my concerns. You know, I'll leave it at that and kind of see what everybody else thinks.
I guess I agree with Matt's perspective and questions because I happen to live on the west side of Wagner Road. So I am always going to prefer to cross on my side of the road if I'm getting to north of Willow. So not having a sidewalk that at least connects me to the nursery school and the church, I mean, that still needs to be done, in my view. What happens to it on the other side of the driveway, I think is still up for grabs. We don't really know, and the school is working, and I'm sure we'll get into those conversations in the future, but I'm a little hesitant to just let this go and then knowing that it's going to be another year before Middle Fork starts. I'm looking at you. Do you want to just come to the microphone real quick, Jenny, just for, since you do represent the school board for us?
Jenny Damon.
Okay.
I'm a school board member of District 29. The only change that's happening to the entrance of Middle Fork School is instead of it being the entrance closest, as it is now, the entrance closest to Willow Road, it's now moving to where the existing entrance is, that's closer to Old Willow. And so that's it. It's really not a big change. We won't be affecting Old Willow. We're going to have students or cars coming into what is now the exit. Coming in that way and coming around. So obviously it's not finalized, but we have moved forward with basically what we're calling the 4 walls of that building. And so I don't see that changing much.
Has there been any discussion about a mid-block crossing that you're aware of?
No, but we have discussed the need for a crossing guard. Other than that, no. Because really the plan is getting as many cars as possible away from Willow Road.
Yeah.
And then, coming in and out actually of that second entrance.
Okay, great, thank you.
And then, the plan is for beginning, well, I shouldn't say. We're hopeful for permitting. How about that? We'll say that.
Okay, but it's a year away at least.
Ideally, it would be spring of 2027 is what we are really crossing our fingers and hoping for with partnership with the village.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Thank you for being here to help.
So I have a question on,
Trustee Elfman.
so does this almost become like a 2-phase project then potentially of the current church driveway to Willow and then maybe a second phase of north of the church driveway to wherever like a midpoint crossing might, I'm trying to visualize, I mean, if a sidewalk could go that whole scope anyway, but the mid-crossing part, because the reason I'm gonna bring that up is when you have parents concert, I was at the kindergarten concert last week, right? Whatever that was, and how many people have to park in the church parking lot and then cross over and do all of that. So I mean, it makes sense to have some sort of crossing there, but you can probably talk that on the west side a little more of how far up.
Yeah, Patrick and Steve can kind of fill in the spots after I talk. I'll just say from the committee's standpoint, they've always envisioned going all the way from Willow to Old Willow, right? It's obviously very expensive. It's very long. It's very difficult. So I think as a sort of an initial, like this is what we really need. This is what we really want now. It was this idea of doing that very small section. So to answer your question, yeah, from the committee standpoint, that's ideal. But like that's also just a much larger and much more expensive project.
So we'd almost want like a phase 2 in some way to have like wherever the midpoint, you want to get to where that midpoint crossing would be, or even that midpoint's kind of where the current entrance is. I mean, there's ways to kind of think about that, but that's why I'm kind of wondering if we almost, I don't want to lose out on the lowest price, not cheapest, but lowest price bidder, but does this become like a 2-phase bid that we put out in the future or something like that?
It's possible. I'm not sure. Steve, have we heard anything yet? I know we reached out to the school and asked for some insight from their traffic engineer about where the drive entrances were
No,
going.
they were gearing up to, their White company was gearing up to provide that information.
Okay.
Or engage in that discussion with us.
So any help we could have kind of pushing, just to even get us preliminary ideas of where that entrance is moving would really help us be able to move our plans forward.
We can send you that tomorrow.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
Thank you. Okay, so all that to say, we have a motion on the floor. Do we want to continue with the motion as is? Do we want to make any amendment? Trustee Whitaker, you...
So I just want to clarify here, and I'm listening to what everybody's saying. Is it smarter for us to proceed, and obviously will the price change if we stop at the driveway of the church for now? So is this going to require a new bidding process, or would it require a new bidding process? Or can we move ahead to the driveway, and then once the school's made their decision, once things have done and been finalized, can we, as someone said, a phase 2 essentially, I'm sorry, trustee, for that other section? And I think that it is easy to push stuff down the road. And sometimes when you push stuff down the road, it becomes forgotten. And I think that if we can at least do that segment, the church has done everything they could to make right for our future, and it's there.
Understand the issue at hand. I guess more broadly, you're on the sidewalk committee. What other plans are there for other sidewalks to get some scale? I think part of the reason we're getting such high bids is it's a really small project, so you get premium pricing because of that. So are there other sidewalk projects, or when we're doing the annual review and when you're replacing certain segments, can we tie them together to try to get some economy of scale?
Schroeder & Schroeder is one of the more prominent sidewalk companies in the area, and they've gotten the village's bid for a number of years, I think up until recently, through the Municipal Partnering Initiative. The work for this project's a little bit different than the sidewalk replacement, because the sidewalk replacement plan is basically pulling out panels that exist and repouring them in place. This is a bigger construction project because we're actually doing some grading changes, drainage, and laying new sidewalk in that area. So other than the mid-block crossing near Middle Fork Tennis Club, I can't think of another sidewalk project we've got coming in the near future to be able to get a larger scale. We could also reach out to Schroeder & Schroeder if you reject bids and see if they would negotiate this price any differently. There's no request. The question was asked earlier. We do not have to bid this out at all, but the board, to approve the contract, needs to waive the sealed bidding process.
Got it.
So here, we went through sealed bids. If the board wants to reject them and then direct me to negotiate with Schroeder & Schroeder to see if we can lower the price, that is an option, if you'd like to do that.
But to piggyback on what Todd said, there was a list that the sidewalk committee came up with, and is there a potential, another section of sidewalk that is like second, third, fourth on the list that we could tie in with that to make this a more palatable or a better project for someone to bid and get some more sidewalk in the next section, so that it isn't like what you're saying, that small section. I understand it's a small section and there's, you know, the sewer and the other stuff that's to go with it, but to Todd's point, that it's a great idea that if there's another section or a couple sections that we had on the list that we could tie in, maybe it would be more palatable for someone to bid on that as well. And then we also get a better bang for the buck and we get some more sidewalks done, which is ultimately what we wanted to try to do.
Yeah, Trustee Gallen sort of signaled, you may not have been looking at him, he went like this when we asked the question of, are there any imminent sidewalk projects that
There
we...
aren't, but there are like 25 or 30 on the list. So
Yeah.
there's no shortage of ones that are on the list, but there's no other ones that we've like budgeted or that we've sort of talked about. But
And I mean, I guess to the point, this is a more substantial project than just replacing squares of sidewalk, because there's grading and elevation changes, because there's the drainage ditch there. So it is more involved, probably also what's driving up the cost. So
there's also something else, which is the permitting, right, with IDOT, because it goes into Lowell Road. So that is, I believe it has been approved for that permitting. I don't know if that's like forever or if that like expires after 60 days, you know. So to the extent that it expires after some period of time, you know, I got to factor that in if you decide to rebid it, like going through that process again. And I don't know the times, maybe you guys do.
It's teed up with them, so I don't know that it would be substantial. If indeed when it expires, I'm not sure of when that expires,
Yeah.
but yeah, the design has been approved by them.
I personally feel very confident in Patrick negotiating with them. That's sort of why I felt we should go ahead and get rid, first of all, it's way above what we budgeted. So I might as well leave it in Patrick's hand to try. What's it gonna hurt?
I would agree with that. Let Patrick try to negotiate. If you can get a better price, so be it. I mean, I think that's really, at the end of the day, we're the stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, and if they're so far overbid, you've negotiated other contracts with other situations, maybe you can get us a better pricing. And
Okay, does that-
Schroeder's a great company.
does that require an amendment to the motion then, or we can just
No,
reject and you know the direction from us?
I believe so, and I see Greg's head shaking yes.
You're right.
Okay, great. Any other questions or comments? All right.
Just to clarify, we would.
Yes,
So we are
sir.
going to vote on this, right? And
We are
all
going to vote on this.
Yes, to reject it.
Yeah, the motion on the table is to reject bids, and if it's a friendly amendment that you want to add from trustee Fowler's motion and authorize the village manager to negotiate price, and the seconder agrees with that amendment, that's what we would have, and a vote to yes rejects the bids.
Perfect.
Okay, trustee Whitaker, you're the motion mover. Do you want to add that motion?
That's way too much for me to remember.
All you're adding,
Make a motion to reject all bids for the Wagner Road sidewalk extension and grant the village manager approval to authority to negotiate with Schroeder and Schroeder.
okay, so that's our amended motion that's now in play. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, wait a minute.
All I
Trustee
want
Gallen.
to say is, can you just do that with some time frame around it, so it's just not open-ended?
Because I move so slowly with things.
By 2027.
Second again.
Matt, what are you looking for, honestly? I'm serious, I'm not.
Within a couple months.
Within,
6 months.
how about just within a reasonable period of time? It's there. I think putting a date on it puts it in a bad spot. I mean, I can say 2 months, or, are you looking at completion or negotiation?
Negotiation and reporting back.
Next board meeting.
Oh, perfect.
Good?
Okay, does everyone understand the motion on the floor?
Second again.
And trustee Orth, you're seconding.
Cool.
Okay. Deputy Clerk, please quickly call the roll.
Trustee Orth,
Yes.
trustee Whitaker.
Yes.
Trustee Fowler.
Yes.
Trustee Gallen.
Yes.
Trustee Edis.
Yes.
Trustee Elfman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank goodness. All right. Now we are moving on to item number 10 and 11. We are going to bundle together, which is the adoption of an ordinance approving a special use for a planned unit development and a plat of consolidation at 400, 464, 466, and 480 Central Avenue, and the adoption of an ordinance vacating part of the Hawthorne Lane right-of-way.
Motion to approve 10 and 11.
Second.
Okay. Steve, I think this is you, correct?
Correct. Thank you, Madam President. The petitioner Riva Development Acquisitions LLC are requesting approval of a number of different things, but all connected to a PUD in order to build a 4.5-story, 92-unit multifamily residential building on a 2.13-acre site. That would include the addresses you just mentioned, as well as a very small sliver of land that currently is attached to 400 Central Avenue. That's where the bank is, just south of the site. And as you notice, or you made mention, a remnant of the village's Hawthorne Lane right-of-way, which is immediately behind the site or west of those addresses. The PUD that they're seeking entails a number of variations from certain zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance provisions. Those are all outlined in the draft ordinance, and I believe actually the petitioner may go over those in their presentation. They are also seeking approval of a plat of consolidation that would assemble the multiple properties that we just talked about into one development site. And then finally, they're asking the village to vacate that last remnant of the Hawthorne Avenue right-of-way, which I just mentioned as well. Those first three things are tied or wrapped up into one ordinance that you have before you. And then the last piece, the vacation, is a separate ordinance, which would also require a separate vote. But again, all four of those things are components of the request from the petitioner in order to create this development. The commissions, the Plan and Zoning Commission, Architectural Commission, both reviewed the proposed project and both voted unanimously to recommend to the village board that it approve the project. Petitioners here to provide the board an overview of their proposed development and to answer any questions that you might have. So I'm going to hand it over to them.
Good evening. My name is Warren James. I'm a principal of Riva Development. With me this evening is my business partner, Matt Nix, and our esteemed architect, John Talty. It's good to be back in Northfield. You may know my family name. I spent 24 years in the family business, and my first development in Northfield was Fox Meadow. Very proud of that. Spent a lot of time creating Fox Meadow with my brother and my father. My father lives over in Hibbard Gardens, which was developed by my brother, who also developed the Muse. So I think we've got several entrances to the community covered. I'd like to develop something at the north entrance to Northfield on Central Avenue. In all earnestness, we have been studying this property for more than a year and a half, and we are pleased to present this plan to you this evening. I'm going to give you a brief overview. There we go. My background is, as I said, I'm fortunate to have been raised by Ed James, taught me a lot about the development business, and I've spent 39 years practicing this craft. Our architecture plans were developed by John Talty, who I've worked with on many projects over the past 35 years. So you've got a very experienced team. The landscape plans were developed by John's wife, Catherine Maxwell Talty. So it's very much of a family affair, and we're all affiliated with Northfield. The Plata survey identifies 3 existing office buildings that would be demolished at 464, 466, and 480 Central. Steve already described the Hawthorne Lane right-of-way, and there's this tiny little sliver of property that we discovered was owned by the bank. I don't think they knew they owned it either. It probably arose from some scrivener's error somewhere along the way, but it's 9 feet at the base, and it goes to a point on Oak Street. And we have come to terms with the bank to acquire that parcel and assemble it logically with the rest of this property. You're probably familiar with the existing conditions. Those buildings have been there since the 50s and 60s. They've outused their economic and functional usefulness. They're either vacant or partially occupied, and they would be demolished in the process. The site is what I consider as a gateway entrance to Northfield from the north. You round that corner, what do you see presently? You see an empty office building. We want to change that. We want to improve the streetscape by demolishing those buildings and developing a 92-unit multifamily building that is designed to appeal most broadly to the empty nester marketplace. We've seen tremendous demand in the area for residents that, like myself, have spent their lives here, raised their families here, have deep roots to the community, but also might want to spend time other places and not have to have the burden of maintaining a single-family home. Let me go back just a little bit and say that the property is shaped in an E. It has 2 outdoor courtyards protected from, that open to the west, that are protected from the noise of the Edens, the nearby. But we believe that the location and the changing nature of the streetscape is going to make that Central Avenue corridor far more walkable than it is today. So I'm not going to steal John's thunder. I'm going to let him present the plans to you. John?
Thank you, Warren. My name is John Talty. I'm with OKW Architects, and we are the proud authors of this building. And I do want to add a couple of things. One, that we were fortunate to be working with Warren and his family in the development of Fox Meadow, Hibbard Gardens, and the Muse. So Northfield has certainly had its fair share of John through the years. I will also begin by saying the thesis of this building and the marketplace is, I think, is really sound. I'm the author of One Winnetka, immediately to the east of us. We're all familiar with that project, 19 years in the making. And there's 500, and as of last Tuesday, there's 594 people on a wait list for 59 rental units. So more than 10 to 1 in terms of the marketplace, which is hyper-local. So I think it speaks to the success that this project has to look forward to in an equally great community. So the building, as Warren alluded to, is sitting in front of you. This is the roof plan of the building, but I think what's important to understand is immediately to the south of the building is an access road that runs east to west, which is going to serve as access to guest parking, which sits to the west of the project. There will be an entrance on the west side of the building that you'll see in subsequent renderings, which will welcome guests and residents alike. There's going to be a drop-off on Central Road, which will accommodate dropping off mom and dad, friends and relatives, Uber drivers, DoorDash, and the like. And to the north on Oak Street, as I move east to west, I can access the ramp to the lower level parking, which will serve the residents of the building. The parking below grade has 140 spaces for 92 residential units. There's going to be 38 spots outside of the building for guest parking. The developer, myself, and the traffic consultants all feel this is more than substantial in terms of providing the proper parking for a luxury rental unit like this. This is the ground floor of the building. In green, you see the lobby off of that drop-off that I spoke of. There's handicap accessible entry points via a ramp. There's stairs up to this elevated plinth. The ground floor sits 5.5 feet above grade. The parking garage is partially buried below grade. This privatizes the ground floor units so that people walking along the public way, along Central, and around the building cannot be looking into the units themselves. As the building progresses up, on the ground floor we have 7 one-bedroom apartments, but as the building progresses up, the one-bedroom apartments slowly begin to diminish, and larger two-bedroom den, and three-bedroom units exist on floors 2, 3, and 4. The fourth floor is important because, as Warren spoke of the amenitized terraces that we have in those courtyard spaces, there's also an amenitized lounge and roof terrace on the 4th floor for residents who choose to have a little bit quieter moment. They can go up there and gather as friends and family, and then have an open terrace which looks down to the courtyard below. The building is a four-sided, the architecture is four-sided, meaning that the materiality, the quality, the level of attention and detail is always the same as we circumvent the building. This is a view from that drive aisle for the guest parking that I spoke of on the south side of the building. Because of the building scale, we're very conscious of trying to break down the mass of the building. I think it's very important that we not have this simply be kind of an extrusion and a hulking building that sits on Central Street, but instead a building that kind of greets the ground in a kind of graceful way. There is a garden wall which separates the building's facade and how it meets the ground from the public way, the sidewalk outside. But one thing that we were very conscious of was the erosion of the mass. We carved out the corners to provide very comfortable and habitable balcony spaces. Every unit's got outdoor balcony spaces. We looked at materiality, broke it down so that it wasn't simply kind of a one-liner as we walked along the facade of the building. Excuse me, I'm getting carried away here. As we walked along the facade of the building, there is a push and pull in the facade so that it's not just a single wall that sits along Central Street or any of the other elevations for that matter. This is a view from Oak Street into the garage below the building. There'll be signage there identifying, that you've arrived home. It's a very comfortable drive aisle, very safe. And it's hidden from the public. All the traffic is getting off of Central Street for those who live in the building. a little closer view of that, and we begin to pick up one of those amenity terraces that we see with the landscape kind of growing over that wall. We'll see more of that in a second. This is a view from the visitor parking on the west side of the building, looking back into the southern amenity terrace, and also the entrance, the visitor entrance to the building, which sits in that kind of middle leg of that E-shaped structure. The amenity terrace this is the north amenity terrace. This image is shown because in the middle of that space, you see that open veranda that I spoke of on the 4th floor, which is an open air terrace off of that lounge that we're creating as another amenity to the building. This begins to demonstrate the drop-off area that we spoke of along Central, that garden wall that is separating kind of the public realm from the private realm, and you begin to pick up on those ramps and the ramp and the stairs that get us up to the front door as traffic pulls off of Central, slows everything down, and people are allowed to get picked up or dropped off. Here's that drop-off in a greater detail. The stairs you can see immediately right of where that gentleman is standing, and then the ramp is in front of the vehicle, getting people safely up to the front door.
And that is a one-way in, one-way out, correct?
Yes, yes. It is a north to south traffic flow. On the north side of the building, there's also another entry point serving the residents so that they can access those who are on foot or who are living in this wing of the building and they're coming from Northfield Diner or Starbucks or wherever they might be coming from. There's another building entry that serves the north end of the building off of Oak Street. A bit of a bird's eye view above that front door again, the canopy that sits there, and that terrace that's developed for residents and guests alike. It also picks up on the private terraces which sit immediately outside those first floor units. Those are separated from the public realm. So if I get up on the terrace to go into the front door, I do not have access into someone's private terrace, which is immediately adjacent.
And the setback from the street is on the east side? The setback from the curb?
Yeah. I don't remember what that number is. Do you know that, Warren? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I can't take off my P and Z hat, so
That's
forgive
fine.
me.
The ADA ramp is right on the property line. That's one of the variances we're requesting. So that's minimum 5 feet wide. It has a switchback, so it arrives at the top. So the main mast of the building is a little bit more than, or excuse me, main mast of the parking deck is 10 feet back from the property line, which is the minimum setback requirement. And then the actual building itself is set back further than that, as you can see from the entrance, probably approximately another 6-7 feet.
Okay, thank you.
One of the things that we tried to do as part of the kind of the architecture as we think about the building holistically, and again, kind of viewing it as a four-sided living, breathing thing, was create details and entry points that were all similar in nature in terms of the architectural expression, whether it be the canopy at the west entry, the canopy at the front door, or the canopies on the north, at the north entry, or the canopies which sit on the amenity terraces. We're using the same language of architecture so that you know that there's something special that's happening in that moment in time, and it's consistent as we move around the building. This is the view of one of the amenity terraces from the guest parking to the west. And that pair of doors where the folks are standing, that's the guest entry on the back side. So we want our guests to feel as welcome and as safe and as celebrated as we have for our residents. So we want to make sure that portion of the building has been well thought out. The amenity terrace, again, sits 5.5 feet above the grade that we're standing here. So from a landscape perspective, and I'll try to do Catherine justice in all of this, we've been very cognizant about how we handle the perimeter of this building, how we address that void between back of curb on the public realm and the face of the building. So both on Central and Oak Street, we have very generous and very thoughtful kind of landscape solutions, softening the blow of the building to the ground and also welcoming people. The terraces have their own landscape concepts. Again, we have both a north and south terrace that are going to live a bit differently within the building. The north terrace on the right-hand side is going to be a gathering place, and it's going to have a component that's adjacent to a fitness center within the building. So it's going to be, I might call it a more active environment. The amenity terrace to the south, on the left side of the image, has access from a club room, which is an internal space to the building, and it's going to have an indoor-outdoor kind of quality to it, accessing grills and dining opportunities outside of that. The landscape that sits on the terraces is important because it's also serving as a buffer from private terraces that residents have to the kind of a buffer from private terraces to the public realm for all 92 apartment users. Here's a rendering of that grilling station, or stations, I should say, outside of the lounge and the amenities, one of the amenity spaces within the building. That architecture, again, of that kind of bent metal, which also reappears at the entry points of the building, is utilized back here to kind of provide some shelter for those manning the grill, and also provide an architectural aesthetic to the space. The other amenity terrace is going to be, kind of equally adorned in terms of its architecture. This has a pergola sitting above it. There's going to be fire pits up there, televisions, a very active space, and one that we think the residents will all enjoy a great deal. So that kind of brings me to the end of this. Happy to answer any and all questions you have, as will Warren and Matt, but we thank you for your attention very much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
I do have slides of each of the variances requested. I'm happy to go through those if you would like me to do so.
It's not looking that way.
Okay, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Can you repeat for all of us the bedroom breakdowns?
Yes, so there are 92 units in the building. 7 are one bedroom, 49 are two bedroom, 24 are two bedroom plus den, and there are a dozen 3 bedrooms.
Okay, thank you.
I just had one question with the entrance, the drop-off area. Because Central is a very busy road, taking into account Amazon drivers, DoorDash, pick your favorite everything, how many kind of vehicles can that hold? I mean, if you got a mad rush at one time with everybody there, just
So
trying to
we've-
think of like Central Ave with
Yeah,
backup
so
traffic.
we've widened that to accommodate 2 vehicles on the east side of the drop-off, allowing others to bypass it.
Get out of there.
So if you got Amazon or UPS or DoorDash, people are going to still be able to get past it. And then because it's oriented north to south, if somebody needs to, they can pull out and then immediately turn into the driveway and go park longer term and back.
I guess I have a couple questions. Was a school impact survey done or study?
Yes, we have experience in designing this type of building. We were very fortunate to develop a 48-unit building geared towards the empty nesters in Glen Ellen, downtown Glen Ellen, 48 cars of underground parking, average unit size of 1,334 square feet, comparing to this at 1,411 square feet. We found today, and we've owned and operated this building for the past 5 years, today we have 4 school-age children only of which are 4 children, 2 of which are school age presently. Anecdotally, talking to my brother, I don't think there are any school-age children at the Muse right now. So it's really, at this price point, we expect rents to be from $3,000 to about $6,500. There are options. There are alternatives that better suit the needs of family. Now, that's not to say we wouldn't welcome families. We will. And in fact, we would anticipate that people who are moving to Northfield, buying a house, rehabbing it, they might be here for a year. We've seen that happen. And with the 3 bedrooms or 2+ den, that might accommodate, you know, a high schooler or a college-age student coming back. But by and large, it's not geared for somebody that's going to raise their family here. That's not the MO of the building.
And have you guys considered solar panels or anything in terms of green energy on this?
We've got a lot of work to do in terms of the energy code requirements. We have considered doing a solar carport. We've looked at solar roof panels. So these are things that we would have to evaluate through the next step of the process. And if we're going to do something like that, we'd come back to you guys for that approval.
Okay.
Energy code is, you know, very complicated these days. Lots of things to consider.
And that would include things like charging stations as well, correct?
Yes, we're definitely planning on accommodating EVs, probably come back and seek some relief from a most onerous Illinois code that requires 100% EV charging throughout the building, which is probably more than any of us would anticipate utilization.
Okay.
One question on parking. I know you're actually over kind of the normal threshold of parking, right? It's like 1.7 something and you're at.
The industry norm for this type of product, you know, from our data set is 1.65. The high end of the data set is 1.77. We're at 1.93. So with credits for additional bike storage, we have accommodated 50 bike storage spots. That would give us a credit of 4. We're at 178 spaces. Your code requires 181. So we're actually, with credit for 4, we're 1 over parked.
So I guess the question I have there is, I mean, this is like worst case scenario for you. Every single unit has multiple cars and somebody has, you know, 3 midlife crisis cars or whatever. And like, are you anticipating anything with the Chase Bank? I mean, parking there or any discussion with them in case of overflow?
We've had discussions with them. We did not want to, they were accommodating, but we didn't want to rely upon Chase Bank accommodating us. There are 20 surface spots on Oak Street, 6 adjacent to the building. And on weekends, obviously those spaces don't get used because the other uses are office, so anticipate some public parking adjacent.
Any other questions? Warren, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the lovely building you're contemplating in our town. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Can we do these as one motion like we talked about, or do we need it to be 2?
It'd be preferable to do 2. There's
All right,
different vote
let's do
requirements
it.
for the 2 ordinances, so sorry to be a stick in the mud.
Okay, but we have a motion combining them on the floor, so,
I'll restate my motion for the one and then the other.
That works.
okay.
Motion to adopt an ordinance approving a special use for planned unit development and a plot of consolidation at 400, 464, 466, and 4 East Central Avenue.
And a second.
Second.
Deputy Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Orth?
Yes.
Trustee Whitaker?
Yes.
Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
Trustee Gallen?
Yes.
Trustee Yedis?
Yes.
Trustee Elfman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, Trustee Orth.
Motion of adoption of ordinance vacating part of the Hawthorne Lane right-of-way.
Second.
Deputy Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Orth?
Yes.
Trustee Whitaker?
Yes.
Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
Trustee Gallen?
Yes.
Trustee Yedis?
Yes.
Trustee Elfman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you. We look forward to your partnership with the village and the great development you're bringing to us. So thank you very much. Thank you. All right, we will move on now to the trustee liaison reports. And I'm going to start with Andrew, and we'll go around the horn.
All right. I'll start with New Trier. Summer school is getting ready to go. We'll be directly impacted. I'm sure Chief will be impacted as well with summer school here at Northfield as they do construction. So everybody plan their daily activities around that. Scheduling is currently going on, and some interesting stats with roughly 4,000 students. They create 48,000 individual schedule requests. 98.6% of those are fulfilled initially. Those that aren't, 63% changes happen, those changes that are made in the spring and summer, 63% of those are able to be accommodated. And then at first semester, 70%, 83% in second semester. So if you plan out your activities and what you want to do, you have a 98.6% chance of getting those classes. So I thought that was pretty impressive given the scope of the school. To no surprise, New Trier and the school board also had a discussion of the TIF and potential and consequences, as well as their official declaration. Sunset Ridge, big thing on their agenda was sort of change in plans, a re-envisioned site plan, which was a partial rebuild, but was going to take an extra year, and now is with this new revisioning and the new site plan reduces the construction to 1 school year and 2 summers. It reduces the encroachment on the floodplain, it improves the playground, it improves traffic flow, and you get a new versus remodeled cafeteria and gymnasium. So, and the new plan actually saves $1 million. So that was voted upon and approved. There also was a follow-up special TIF presentation where their consultant discussed the impact on the schools. Let's see, and then Sunset Ridge also reviewed their policy on math placement and took a look at that and met with other feeder school districts, and they're collaborating on a multi-year plan to align 6th through 8th grade math curriculum for more clarity and consistency at New Trier and along the feeder districts. At Sunset Ridge and the feeder districts. And that's it.
Thank you.
My Exhibit A just left.
Trustee Whitaker. I have nothing. Okay. Trustee, never. You never have nothing.
District today, and Willow Park's progressing, and they're hoping to get started on Park Pocket Park on North Ave.
Great. Trustee Orth.
Okay, the local school district meeting was on Thursday, May 21st. The next meeting is June 11th. Several things that they're working on after their referendum was turned down or voted down by the voters. They are in the process of working on getting their new cooling system and the new boiler project. So they've got monies and they're working on that. There's a couple of big things that they're working on. The other thing is they have now a new agreement for assistant superintendent of student services. So that was big on that. And some new custodial service agreements, as well as the food service program that continues what they've had before, and working out prices for all those. So they're working hard, and the school year is wrapping up just like everything else is. And the next meeting is June 11th. As far as the centennial update, on Monday, May 18th at 11 o'clock, Mary, myself, and Tracy presented the centennial to the Northfield Garden Club, which went very well. We had a great interaction with them, presented them what we're doing, what's going on, and then we had a nice luncheon to follow. On Wednesday, June 10th, at the North Shore Senior Center, we will be doing another presentation to the seniors entitled From Cornfield to Northfield. It's our 100-year story. Anyone interested in participating? Lunch is being provided by yours truly, and we're doing a presentation to the seniors, and there's no fee, and you can sign up with that, and there's flyers available at the senior center. And as far as the Centennial Committee, I think we talked about most everything earlier, so I don't think I have to go too far into that. Our next meeting is coming up a week before we have our presentation to the senior center. So again, if anybody wants to donate or be involved, or if you have a story, you can go to our website and go to that and share some of the memories. I know Ed, you have long-term history here with 4 years. You might want to share some of your memories from Northfield, 6 years now, and anyone else that's lived here for a long time. So again, thank you very much, and look forward to all your help to work on this awesome project.
Trustee Gallen?
Patrick gave a great update on the Northwest Municipal Conference. I don't have anything else to add on that front, other than to say, sort of separately, the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, and I'm not totally sure what their relationship is with the Northwest Municipal Conference. It might be just a subgroup. They have launched an initiative called Homegrown. It is an aggregation of local housing policies, development, and programs of all the neighboring communities. It's kind of like a case study approach where everyone shares their stories, their successes, the lessons learned from the projects that they've undertaken in their villages. It's a really great resource. You can search by a lot of different criteria. It's worth checking out. It's mayorscaucus.org. That is the website. And then for the library, the library on their website has a tab for the expansion project. It's worth checking out, and they have put out some social media stuff recently, and from what they're saying and based on their social media, it's gotten a lot of positive feedback, and that is all.
Well, to finish down the stretch here, Zoning Board of Appeals, there were only 2 things on the agenda, went pretty quickly overall. Speaking of historical context, it was actually kind of funny because there was a pool variance, and someone said, well, there's a pool there 25 years ago in that exact same spot. So it was kind of funny to see that happen. The other thing I want to say is shout out to Chief and the police side. That was a cool event at Clarkson Park. Had a couple of my kids sitting on the 4-wheeler, motorcycle, and all of that. But those are the only 2 things I had. But it was a nice event, and I hope you keep doing those throughout the summer.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Oh, and I forgot to mention that June 8th is the next architectural meeting. And on Ed's note, they did a nice thing at Northfield Park on the east side with the rollout. It started out slow, but there were a ton of neighbors and people. They did a great job. Your officers were very cool with the interacting and the motorcycle and everything else. So I think these rollouts are awesome, and thank you very much. It was a very cool event. I attended. It started out, scared me. I got there about a half hour, and it was the chief and I were the only ones in the park, and then gradually all the neighborhood and the kids kind of swarmed in like ants on a chocolate cake. So thank you.
Okay, department head reports, they're all in the packet. Did anybody have any questions, or do any department heads have anything they'd like to share tonight? When's your next event?
June 14th, Sunset Ridge School. We're going to be doing a drone demonstration. As Trustee Elfman and Trustee Worth indicated, we're having a lot of fun with these. The officers enjoy it. I enjoy it quite a bit. It's a great chance for us to engage with people in sort of a low-key way. So I encourage everybody to come out. We're sort of making our way around town to different neighborhoods, and we're picking up steam with them, and we're really having a lot of fun.
Great, thank you. Patrick, anything else you want to talk about tonight?
Just a quick update on the orchard parking. We have 3 concepts in from the architect, or from the designer. I've shopped those out and given that information to the representative for Stormies, and we were supposed to meet today, but we'll meet in the next couple of days with the representative for Freeman Properties. 2 of the concepts add about 16 spaces. If you don't count the existing tandem spaces that are there now, the other concept that is a very good shared arrangement adds about 28, 29 spaces. So we'll see which the groups prefer, and I'll come back to you as we move forward on that process.
Great.
Nothing further from me. Thank you, President.
Steve, Melissa, Holly, anything? I just want to also, Steve, thank you and your staff for all the hard work that you've done on, that was a, this is the binder from Plan and Zoning. These things are a lot to pull together. So thank you to everybody who's worked on that. So, all right. Anything else from the board? Anything else from the public? Okay, may I have a motion and a second to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?